You got to have it all. If you really want to succeed, that is. You need to be doing some paid ads. You need to have a nice website, your GMB optimized. You want to make sure that you're everywhere for everybody, because everybody's search is different.
Hey guys, welcome to another Google Business Buzz. I'm glad to be joined by my friend Chris Blake. Chris, how's it going?
It's going really good. We, last episode we have upgraded equipment. This episode we have some formal podcast etiquette training. So we're looking and sounding and feeling more vibrant than ever.
That's right. If you all can notice, my headspace is a lot better.
And backgrounds.
Yes. So Chris, man, just wanted to get your thoughts on the changes regarding SERP. Here, what I'm hearing is, calls going down on Google business profiles, a lot of GBPs getting pushed down the SERPs and losing call buttons. And I can attest to it. I see it happening. I'm gonna share screens, but what are you hearing there out on the trail?
I mean, I'm hearing and seeing a lot. I did a webinar not too long ago, and I also hung out with you not too long ago where you showed me some stuff. But when we're doing sample searches, typically when we're talking to prospects, right, one of the very first tools or first things we're going to do to kind of try to get somewhat of a diagnostic is we're going to look in their backyard and their market and look for plumbing service in Mason, Ohio, and every time you do that, the search looks a little bit different. Initially it was, you'd see your LSA, you'd see your PPC, then you'd see the map pack. And, that seems to change up quite a bit depending on how you're searching. Sometimes I feel like the AI overview is above the LSA. Sometimes I see it below all the sponsored ads. When you and I, hung out the other day, you showed me that, when somebody's running map ads, the call buttons from the Google business profiles disappear, at least on a mobile device. So, I mean, Google, as we know, it seems like it's always changing, but now it seems like depending on how you search for something, you're going to get almost a different result every time.
Lately, it's pretty distressing to see these changes. Just like you mentioned, I'm going to share my screen here. It really depends on even the actual device that you're using on how your AI overview shows, right? So here we're looking at faucet repair, and on a desktop view, I'm getting LSA, right? And then they get the AI overview, some short videos, some organic results. But LSA is great. That's exactly how I would expect it to be. But then when I go into the mobile result, the first thing we see is AI overview. And then we go down to LSA and we get these, competitive quote option. But then we have that map, that sponsored result. And then we have the GBP and the organic results. So really depending, the query, depending the device type, it's going to change, and it's pretty distressing for somebody that's been doing local marketing for as long as we've been doing it. I know this is going to be something to discuss with the clients, and it's going to be a tough conversation.
Yeah, I guess Google is reliably unreliable. I think it kind of doubles. We're constantly talking about how an ideal marketing package for a small business is going to include your local service ad. That's going to include PPC, and of course, you want to make sure your Google business profile is optimized. You're going to want to make sure that you have a nice website. You're going to want to make sure that your social media is active as well. And I think that's really one of the only ways that you can really ensure that you're going to show up for every type of search. Because, if the AI overview is first, you want to make sure your website, your directories, your social media are good, so you show up there. If LSA just so happens to be first, you want to make sure you're showing up there. And then, of course, you want to have some PPC going, or make sure you have a nice GMB so that you could rank highly once people, get past the LSA and the AI overviews.
Absolutely. And as you said, making an effort to be everywhere is really crucial now. We know the majority of users are on Google, classic Google, searching on that first page. But more and more with the adoption of AIs, people are going to go direct to AI mode, or use their personalized intelligence, which is now a thing. And in these cases, search becomes super niche and super personalized per user. Um, I've run searches for my clients in different parts of the country, like best towing companies in Falls Church, Virginia. I see in the AI mode that triple time towing comes up, and they come up because of the GBP, of the Yelp, and of the Instagram posts that we do for them. So AI is always going to grab the best information, the most captivating information, and it's incredible that it has access to all of these different data points. And I mean, we make sure to build out not just the GBPs on our organic um, products, but also the Yelp pages and the Facebook and Instagram pages when we manage the social sites. So important. And then you move to like ChatGPT, which is the most, popular AI. And I know they grab information from everywhere, right? And that's always changing. But we have to keep in mind that when you're a local business, you really don't care where you get found or where your business comes from, as long as you're getting found and as long as you're getting that business, be it a Yellow Pages or a Google business profile.
That's why you got to be everywhere. It's one of our towing clients, Big Boys Towing and Recovery out of St. Louis. I was doing my a webinar, I think like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and I did some sample searches so that I had something to show to the people that attended the webinar, and I did some longer, more conversational searches, like who is the best company to tow my semi truck in Pacific, Missouri, and Big Boys. They have a fantastic Google business profile. They have a really nice website optimized with a ton of content. But another fold is that they are really good on Facebook. They have tens of thousands of followers, and they have like 40,000 followers, and their posts get a ton of engagement. And so when I'm looking for like who's the best company to tow my semi truck in Pacific, Missouri, I can see that Gemini is actually, they give you the links and show you where the results are coming from. It had actually been mainly from their Facebook post. Now, when I do a different query, like who's the best heavy duty towing company in Rolla, Missouri, it was referencing their website. And there's been other cases where it's referencing their Yelp page. And it's funny, in these seminars and webinars I do, which I do a bunch every year at trade shows around the country and also virtually, when I would look for a specific business, say I looked for Henry's Plumbing Service, generally in the first handful of results, I'm going to see your website. I'm going to see probably your Yelp page, and I'm probably going to see your Facebook page. So that right there is showing how much Google cares about those things, and, therefore Gemini. And then if not Gemini, then therefore ChatGPT. They all care about the same stuff, and it's really funny. I can't remember if I said this in our last podcast. So I don't really like going on LinkedIn. It's not my cup of tea. However, I was on LinkedIn and I saw that it was Meta, it was OpenAI, and it was one of the other large AI companies. I can't remember the name of it. It sounds kind of evil, like military use, but anyway.
Okay.
And they're hiring for SEO specialists at incredibly high salaries, incredibly high, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it shows like that, SEO, if these AI companies care very much about their SEO, it's showing that stuff, the content that you're putting out there is going to help you be found.
Completely. Now that's a great transition into another screen share that I wanted to show. with AIs, since they were released, right? We see the adoption rates go up over time, and ChatGPT being the number one AI out there. But we can't forget that people still use Google over all of these AIs. So it's the disparity is massive, right? And that's why we still focus on the juggernaut, which is Google. Um, we know that they're doing over 75 billion users. They're delivering search results for over 75 billion users, and that it's so much bigger, so much larger than any of their closest, AI competitor. That's why being on Google Ads is so important. And Google saw this coming, right? They were like, all right, what do we do with our network? We have LSA that's on top, and we have all of this AI coming. What do we do with our network? We got to expand it. We got to show ads everywhere. And another thing that just came out today is that they decided that if you have AI personal intelligence on your Google account, then you're not getting ads on AI mode. But if you don't, then you will get ads on AI mode. So they're already thinking about this. It's like ChatGPT already thought about ads on their end. They're doing it for the free users. I haven't seen one in the wild yet. But the numbers speak for themselves, right? Being everywhere matters, but most importantly, being on Google. And Google is everywhere. Google is just grabbing information from all of the different platforms. And it's, basically to give their users, us, the best possible experience so that we keep coming back.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously AI is personalizing everything. I mean, I was messing around with chat. I'm trying to do like a really large exercise in which I manage our sales department. I manage about 14 closers, and I'm trying to do an exercise in which I plug all of their calls or the majority of their calls into Google AI Studio, and I was working with chat to kind of come up with the best way to do that. And they hit me with an ad for Zoom, which you already use, but based on my conversation. And back to LinkedIn, I saw an ad just the other day, and it was personalized for Chris at there's like Christopher, sales teams just like OMG National are, doing X, Y, and Z and using our product. And I was like, that's crazy levels of personalization. And it was a LinkedIn paid ad.
Oh man, let's get into personalization and targeting on social media. I mean, when you sign up for any of these platforms, Instagram, TikTok, you're going through some terms of service that, you're never reading, right? In those terms of service, what you're allowing them to do is access your front camera so that when you're going through scrolling and your micro expressions change, they're capturing that. They're capturing that and they're using that to target you with more ads, better ads. Your phone is also always listening. Like I've had conversations with my wife where I've never even typed anything into search, and then I see an ad on Instagram about it. That's not coincidence. That's actually technology there listening in.
Yeah. I mean, it's happened to all of us. And then you start to get followed by those ads. I'm not going to lie. I'm a sucker for a good Facebook ad because I follow things that I like on Facebook. So, generally I'm seeing, ads that serve my interests. So I'm kind of okay with it. I think we all just kind of have to submit to it because it's not going to change, right? Privacy is not what it once was.
Oh no. Oh no. No, not at all. And that's, I mean, basically that's what we use to leverage our ads and target, the traffic that we send to our clients. And I think it's a great thing because without it, it's just, we're throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. With this kind of targeting and attribution, we can tell you where your traffic is coming from and what is actually happening. If you're actually, if they're going to your site and taking an action. Now, whether or not they're converting, that is on the sales, training or sales skill of the business owner, right? I've always said, if you get a phone call, even if it's somebody asking you for a quote or even asking you for a competitor, you should treat that as somebody that is inquiring for your service and do your best to win that job in that moment. You never know when you're going to get a second opportunity to have a conversation with a prospect. And the same goes for a website. And I know that you and I aren't going to agree on this always, but in my mind, if you get a click to your website and that click doesn't convert into an action like an email request, a phone call, or a direction request, and that's what we're looking for, or maybe a purchase for a product, then there's something wrong with the website, right? So, what do you think about that controversial statement, Chris Blake?
Visits to the websites all being counted as a lead. Is that what you're getting at?
Basically.
I mean, look, if somebody is visiting your website, they're probably interested in your product or service. So it's definitely an opportunity. I guess there's a lot of definitions for a lead, or you could argue how qualified or strong a lead is.
No.
It's definitely an opportunity. And I'm looking on my phone right here because we have Easter's right around the corner. So I wonder if you guys can see this, but Comparts chocolate saying dreams are still pending in my checkout. So I did not this is very expensive chocolate, but basically I added something to my cart, and that's a fairly typical form of email marketing, where you're going to get targeted with that. So I mean, it even if somebody doesn't convert, does that mean your website sucks? Maybe. Henry might say so, but I think it's it's important to definitely sweep up that traffic with some email marketing and doing what you can to get people back to your website to convert, or just retargeting with paid advertisement.
100%. And when you do the retargeting, it should be on both Google and Meta's network. Both networks are powerful. Get your products and services on, in front of the eyes of thousands of people in your local area. So that is extremely, extremely important. Going back to how different searches can be for different industries, there was just a recent study that came out from a company called Small Biz Edge, and they ran a study on analyzing which queries actually don't show the phone call buttons for those Google local packs. And they actually came out with the key finding is that 4 out of 5 searches in the map pack have no call button. And this goes back to what we were talking about last month. I'm sorry. It's Google has decided that you have access to that call button if you're paying for it. You don't have access to it anymore if you're not paying for it. And those are for like the most important keywords that really, people are
The
looking
highest
for, like,
intent.
the highest intent. Yeah. So that is something that our public, our audience needs to think about. Small business owners, I don't think it's even an option to be on Google Ads anymore. You have to be on Google Ads if you have a small business, or else you're missing out. Nobody's scrolling past that first screen filled. It's really, really hard to think that a user is going to go further and further down the list. You got to be on top to get those calls.
I think a lot of people are becoming more and more comfortable with their search engine of choice or their AI of choice, and speaking to it more conversationally. Whether it's because they use talk to text or that they just feel like they can get a good result that way. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I find that those kind of really longer conversational things, maybe they have less intent, or it seems that way, but they tend to typically populate the AI overview first when you're having those really long things. So once again, you got to have it all. You need to have, if you really want to succeed, that is, you need to be doing some paid ads. You need to have a nice website, your GMB optimized, be on some directory pages, have some good reviews. be rocking it on social media so that, everywhere somebody turns that they can find you, whether they're the kind of person who's going to look for a plumber near me, or they're the kind of person to say like, hey Siri, who can help me with fixing my clogged toilet? Or whether they're the kind of person who's, scroll on Facebook, not even really caring about their clogged toilet. They're just leaving it. But then they see a plumber come across their feed. Just want to make sure that you're everywhere for everybody, because everybody's search is different.
Absolutely. Everybody's search is different. And even one more of those types of, the do-it-yourself type of person, that searches, uses AI to do it themselves and figures out they can't. And then they see that you're the company that gave them the information, but they couldn't handle it. They're going to call you. Like even that kind of content today is super important. Go ahead.
That's what we want. We're hoping some of you marketing DIYers, who are looking at marketing videos and information on YouTube, that you see us and you can tell we know what we're talking about. And if you feel like you don't want to do it yourself, or you think we could do it better, hit up OMG National.
Let's go. I don't think there's a better way to end it. Hit up OMG National. That's right. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for staying with us on another episode of Google Business Buzz. Chris, great talking with you, my man.
See you guys. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Bye.